When I started this painting, I had such a vivid image in my mind. A bright red cardinal perched on a charming rustic birdhouse. It was clear and exciting and full of potential. I wanted to start painting a series of winter or Christmas related paintings, still incorporating animals and realism, but with a touch of winter magic. But as I started to work on it, something happened. Something shifted. What I saw in my head just didn't seem to appear on the canvas. And let me tell you, that can be such a frustrating experience for any artist. Today, I want to share the struggles I faced while painting this piece. From the block-in to the background to the bird, there were moments where I felt like giving up. I also want to talk about why sometimes the vision we have doesn't translate to the canvas and why that is okay. So I chose to work on mixed media paper as I wasn't sure if this was going to be working out, and well, canvases are definitely more expensive than a piece of paper out of my sketchbook, so I decided to use that, and I measured a square that was 6 by 6 inches. I put down a thin layer of diluted burnt sienna and threw a grid over top, and then sketched the birdhouse and the bird on that. Now I tend to do this in stages, one little thing every day. I don't always show these steps, as to me they are really boring and there isn't all that much exciting happening yet. My vision for this piece was clear. I imagined the cardinal's red feathers glowing against the background, full of depth and vibrancy. The birdhouse was meant to look like an old and textured piece, with rounded pieces of wood going vertically, and the whole thing just blending perfectly into a peaceful outdoor scene. And even though the reference photo didn't show it, I envisioned some snow on the top of the roof of the birdhouse, as well as some snowflakes clinging to the red cardinal. But somewhere along the way, that clarity got lost. Well, the blocking went just fine. It isn't supposed to be super close to the actual colors that you'll use later on for details. It's just to lay down a basic foundation to work from. Now at this stage, I wasn't too worried. I did tackle this project slightly different than I usually do, as I thought it would be cool to put the background on at a later stage and not at the beginning of the painting. I was challenging myself here, but that is where things started to take a turn. I wanted something soft and complementary to the cardinal. I had a dark green sort of bokeh background in mind, blended softly and really not something that would draw attention to itself. But when I painted it, it didn't look anything like the reference photo or what I had in my mind. It was too harsh in some places and too bland in others. I tried to just paint and not think, and just went to town adding brushstrokes. I figured, well, maybe I'll just magically make this happen, and then I'll be so proud of myself for accomplishing that. But I ended up with something so totally different, I was actually really annoyed after I put it in. In all essence, I started this painting when I was in a very negative mindset, and I thought by working on a new piece, it would just pull me out of the depths of my grumpy mind. Usually, painting is something that grounds me again, that helps me find peace and tranquility. Well, in a way, it worked. I did feel more at peace while painting. My thoughts weren't as heavy, and I could focus on the brushstrokes in front of me. But at the same time, seeing that background not work the way I wanted it to added this extra layer of frustration. It was like my calm was battling with my dissatisfaction, and well, I wasn't sure which one would win. So after that, I left the painting alone for a day or two, turned my work around so I wouldn't be instantly frustrated starting this grumpy negative cycle all over again. And when I went back to it, I wanted to get going on the birdhouse details. I wanted it to have that weathered, rustic look with the grains of the wood showing. And I was a bit scared actually and hesitant going into work on this, as the painting had put me off already. But I also figured that if you don't change anything, nothing will happen, and it'll stay just in the state that it is. So I decided to give it a go. I had no idea what colors to mix, so I did a few swatches and put them in my art journal, so I knew what paints I had mixed together and what the mixed color looked like. Well, with that, I felt a little bit more confident that I could remix those colors later on if I needed to, but I must say, the details just didn't come together well. It felt too forced, like I was trying too hard to make it perfect, so I put it around and it looked a bit more like actual wood, and some sections were starting to come together, whilst other things just weren't happening the way I wanted them. Some parts just looked really flat, not like the rounded pieces of wood that the reference photo showed or what I had envisioned. I thought, well, I'll get back to this later. Maybe some glazing and shadows will help me here. But even though that was a great thought, that actually never happened. Then there was the bird. I struggled with the cardinal's red feathers. Red is such a bold color, but it's tricky to make it vibrant without overpowering everything else. I just kept layering paints, but it didn't seem to come together the way that I wanted. I tried switching between details, shadows, highlights, and glazes to try and bring it to a place that I was satisfied with. And after messing around for a while, I just came to the conclusion that sometimes you just need to let things be and allow for the painting to tell its own story and to be satisfied with what did get created, because I am painting and I am putting my skills to the test. I am showing up and I am creating a piece of art. Even though I thought I was going to add snow and subdue my background, the longer it sat on my easel, the more comfortable actually I became with it. So there came a point that I just had to let go of my perfect idea and just call it finished. Art can surprise you, and there's still beauty to be found in something that I was so frustrated with whilst creating. This was more of an emotional journey out of a very negative mindset, and because of my negative attitude, the whole painting seemed to be against me every step of the way. But in all honesty, I was just standing in my own way. Yet, I worked through it. There are moments of joy to be found in everything, and feelings are in all essence, well, temporary. So, if you're working on a piece right now and it feels like it's just not turning out the way you hoped, I hope that you can take a deep breath. Step back and let the painting guide you. And remember, it's okay to pivot, to change your vision, or to simply embrace the imperfections. Your art, your rules. Looking at this cardinal now, I still see areas where I could improve, but I also see how much I've learned from this process. Every brushstroke and every challenge, it has brought me closer to understanding my art and myself as an artist. If you've ever struggled with a painting or any creative project, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Let's remind each other that we're not alone in this process. And as always, stay happy, keep your peace, and God bless you. Bye-bye.